Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. Hope you guys are all enjoying your Monday so far. The start of a new week. The sun is shining just a little bit. Absolutely lashed it down last night, but it's still boiling, so hopefully we'll see some sunny weather again soon. I'm telling you what, it's when the Hoppins comes around. As soon as the Hoppins comes back to Newcastle, the rain starts. You can see there, it's getting a bit of sun on my face. But big news coming out today that Newcastle United looks set to give BRUNO GUIMARÄES that new contract we've been talking about for some time now. Fabrizio Romano tweeting out earlier on today that BRUNO GUIMARÄES' new contract is a priority for Newcastle, and they hope to get it done and dusted in the next couple of weeks, which is good news. I mean, to start things off, BRUNO has been very good, to say the least. Amazing for us since he arrived here. A team who was pretty much down and out and have finished in a Champions League spot this season. So getting BRUNO, in fairness, he still has 3 years left on his deal. So they're calling it a priority right now. If he didn't sign a new deal, he's still with us for the next 3 years. But I think it's a priority in that it's deserved. He's worked hard. I think he's probably owed a bit of a bumper in his payday packet for how well he has played, and because of the fact that we are now a top 4 club. You know, we'll come on and talk a little bit in this video about not just how much this affects BRUNO and his new deal and where he sits, and the fact that we're trying to make sure that, you know, if somebody does come in for him and tries to buy him, it's putting us in a better position, but also where it sits us in terms of this summer transfer window. I've just almost been hit by a leaf. This summer transfer window, because we are being linked with some big names. We're being linked with James Maddison, Szoboszlai, Barella. Barella, for me, who is one of the best midfielders in the world right now, or specifically in Europe for his position, top 5 for me. And if we are going to go out and get him and bring him in, he's going to ask for a pretty decent contract. And to go out and give Barella 200 grand a week, and BRUNO's sitting there on 120-ish, it's imagined, it's thought. Hang on a second. I've been here and worked hard for this, you know. I'm one of the guys who got us into those Champions League spots. And you've just brought him in and he's getting paid 2 times as much. Sadio Mane, one of the big links over the last week or so, after his comments. I made a video on that yesterday, if you want to read a little bit more into it, about the fact that he was actually asked, while in Senegal, on international duty, would you consider a move to Newcastle United? Mane said, never say never. I think we're going to have to see a little bit more on that one, of to whether it could potentially happen. But he's rumoured to be on around 350 grand a week. So would you turn down Mane joining Newcastle United? No, probably not, because of how good he was just a couple of years ago. He was one of the best players in the Premier League, maybe even the world, a couple of years ago. I know he's 31 years old now, he's a little bit older. If you had the chance to take him, you probably would. But imagine bringing him in on 3 times the amount. I think that's one of the biggest sticking blocks, honest. I don't know that Newcastle would do it. I think that would just be that step too far. Maybe 200, 150, 200, 220, you know, you started pushing to that kind of next bracket of contract. I think for 350 would really set things into whack, because there's going to be a lot of players going, hang on a second, he's getting that. And all of a sudden, that is quite a big jump for not just BRUNO, but for a whole host of players. I think in terms of BRUNO, it's a no-brainer. I say 3 years left on his deal. He's still got a few years left, you know. We didn't have to give him a new deal, but we've seen how happy BRUNO is. We've seen how good he's been. And as much as it's about contract length, it's also about keeping the players happy. And I think BRUNO seems extremely happy. Getting married very recently with Joey is the best man. They're out on international duty at the minute. Joe Linton got his debut goal. BRUNO came on for him. It's so happy for a lot of players right now. I think for BRUNO, who, let's be honest, is a wanted man. He's a wanted man, and it's not to say that we're going to let him go, because we're not. But when he's got teams like Real Madrid, Barcelona are interested in him, and, you know, look, for me, Newcastle's the greatest club in the world and there's nobody I would rather play for, but for a South American lad who, you know, a lot of which grow up watching Spanish football, watching European football, and potentially opening to spending big money on you and probably giving you a big contract is going to grab your interest. And look, it's football as well. Bruno's agent, I've no doubt, has been on the phone to Newcastle going, look, by the way, I know you were thinking about giving him a new contract, but we're getting phone calls from here, and everywhere. Make sure you get this deal sorted and keep my client happy. And that's the thing, it's rewarding Bruno for what he's done so far. It's keeping the status quo, it's keeping him happy. It's warning off Barcelona, Real Madrid. By the way, we've given him a nice bumper contract and an extra 2 years on his deal. So if they do come back in 3-4 years' time and he's had his time at Newcastle and maybe he wants to move on and take a change, I would love to see him stay for his whole career. But this is football, and it would not surprise me if in the back of Bruno's head, maybe he does think in a few years' time he can mix it up. And if that is the case, we don't want him leaving on free. we want to get that £100 million for him. So that's covering all those sides of things. And then I think it also puts us in the right frame of mind for this summer window as well. I've mentioned those players already. I've mentioned Madison's, I've mentioned Szoboszlai's, Barellas. You know, these guys, if we are able to get some of them done over the line, we'll be coming in and expecting big wages. You know, Newcastle versus the top 4 teams in the Premier League. I've no doubt we will have the smallest wage bill out of the lot. Newcastle versus teams in the Champions League. So now we're talking about, again, Real Madrid's, Barcelona's, PSG, you know, all these teams who are no doubt spending a lot of money on their players. Newcastle will have a bit of a jump to get to. And if we are going to try and bring in Champions League players this summer window, we have to be giving out Champions League wages. I think we still stand a little bit of stead in terms of we are the new upcoming top 4 Champions League side. And I think the Newcastle owners are aware of that. I think that's why we have been a bit clever in the windows so far. I think that's why we haven't just gone out and given Marnie a new 350k deal a week. Or could we? No, I don't think so. I think that's why we've been careful. And I still think even if we brought in somebody like a Madison, I don't think they expect to suddenly get 200 grand a week? Maybe. But I think we still have a bit of stead in that we can say, look, we're going up, we're moving up. We can't offer it right now, but look at the project. Look at what we've achieved so far. Look at the players we're bringing in. Look at the contract we've just given Bruno. And that kind of sets us in a bit of public facing. We're rewarding our players for what they're doing. We're giving Dan Burn his extension. I reckon we'll be looking at a Trippier extension, a Trippier contract review as well. I think Joe Linton is likely to be having the same this summer. So when players are looking at us and when they are looking at what we're doing, by the way, yeah, we got Champions League and we rewarded our players for that as well. And then I guess the final bit to mention as well is the fact that, I said it from the start, if Madison does want 200 grand a week, Bruno wouldn't be very happy that he's now no longer the highest paid player in the club. So it's kind of moving with expectation. It's how good we've been on the pitch. We're matching it off the pitch as well. Yeah, Bruno, yeah, 20, 30 extra grand a week, cool. Joe Linton, yeah, an extra 10, 20 for you as well. Trippier, let's get that 1 year extension done. And it means when we're bringing players through, there isn't just a sudden, the new players are up here and the current players are there. So it makes sense. I understand why it's a priority for Newcastle, and it's good news for us, for all the reasons that I've just mentioned. So you guys let me know your thoughts on the Bruno Guimaraes contract, the fact that according to Fabrizio Romano, it is a priority to get done in the next couple of weeks. I mean, it's been spoken about for a little while now. We were speaking about this back in January. We're speaking about it again now. In terms of what we're trying to get done this summer, I would like things like this to kind of just be done and dusted a little bit and taken care of, so we can kind of really push on with getting some transfers in. You know, it's a short window, this window, because of the World Cup, because we're finished late. We're back in the middle of August. We want to get these players in now so we can have a good pre-season with us as well. All right, guys, thanks for watching. As always, drop a like. Let me know your thoughts on the Bruno Guimaraes contract. Do you think he needs one? Does he need a new contract? Still got 3 years left. We don't have to give him one. Or do you think it's deserved and it's the right moves? It's not just for Bruno. I think it's for the club and how we are trying to structure ourselves going forward as well. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.